People always ask me, should I study in Japan or should I work in Japan? And most of the answers you hear will focus on visas, salaries, and prestige. But the real difference, the one that really shapes your life here, focuses on friends, money, and language. I've done both, and depending on where you are in life, one can feel incredibly fulfilling, while the other one can feel quietly isolating. The conditions for making friends while studying Japan are much more favorable than when you're working here. When you're a student, your main responsibility is learning. You have a weekly class schedule, but outside of that, you're only accountable to yourself. Learning itself is exploratory. You're engaging with things that you've never explored yet and you don't understand completely. In and itself, learning is an adventure. When you're learning, that sense of discovery creates excitement. I tend to find that friendships form the best when you're in a state of excitement and adventure, searching for something. And study abroad is naturally creating that environment for you. So you don't have to worry about finding friends because it's perfect for that. You're an exchange student, you're doing something unfamiliar. You're a foreign student and they're seeing something unfamiliar, and you want to learn about what you don't know when you're studying. So, right there, studying is already the perfect environment. And when you're studying, the reality is that your responsibilities are a lot less. Your responsibility is to learn and to learn for yourself, not to provide, right? When you're working, you're providing a product or service, but when you're studying, you're learning something new for you and for your future. And right there, your responsibilities are a lot lighter. That means you have time to go grab a drink. You have time to go on that crazy excursion. You have time to go grab a plane ticket from Peach Airline and go fly to the next island over. Like you can do those things when you're traveling or when you're studying. That is conducive to friendship too. When you're working though, the relationship dynamic is completely different. If someone doesn't do their job, your job is at risk and the relationship itself is at risk. Okay, and that's a lot more high stakes than just learning for yourself and for your own grades and for your own motivation for your own future. When you're working with somebody, it's completely different. And that tension and that sort of dynamic can actually put a lot of stress on trying to make friends. When you're an adult and you've got responsibilities and you got this pressure, that can kind of take away from like, hey, let's just have a drink, let's go out, let's be calm, let's be relaxed. And when you're working, you're definitely going to be surrounded by older people, people who are above you, people who are higher up in terms of authority. And those people are going to be from a different generation, and they're just going to be developmentally older and less open to new experiences. And you, as a foreigner coming to Japan working, um, to be honest, a lot of people, well, maybe some people are gonna not want to talk to you because you're a foreigner, and they're gonna not be open to newness because newness at an old age is actually inconvenience. Finding people with shared interests at work can actually be a little bit of a challenge because even if you do share those interests, you might just not have time to meet up and actually enjoy those things together. Also, you might run into people who just want to keep their relationships strictly professional, and I'm guilty of that as well. There's so many politics at work. I just want to keep it strictly business and not go into anything further simply for the sake of not making my life any harder at work. The trade off, studying in Japan is way better for making friends. For working in Japan, it can still be fulfilling, but it's much better if you already have a network here or you have a family here. Studying is ideal if you're open and adaptable and okay with making friends from scratch. Working is better, again, if you have a strong family or a strong social network here already. Money can feel tight either in studying or working here for different reasons though. When you're studying in Japan, you're usually living off of savings. Maybe you worked for the summer, you had a part-time job, you had an internship, and you saved up a chunk of cash. You're just ready to spend it. You're ready to go and live your 6 months of heaven in Japan eating ramen. But maybe because of your age, you're not used to financial planning and making a budget that's actually appropriate and realistic. So there's challenges that come with that. And so your focus might be on just minimizing cost and getting the cheapest stuff you can get. You can live with more discomfort. You can eat crappier foods, junk food, and you're not focused on living like an actual comfortable lifestyle. You're just trying to get by with what you got. That's okay. That's just part of the student experience. And if you're running into financial troubles when you're abroad, you might have a safety net. You might call up, hey mom, hey dad, and they might bail you out of a bad situation. Or, your school might help you out. You might have scholarships that are funding some of your stuff. Maybe your parents might even come to Japan and travel around, and you might be able to stay on their dime. And you're on a student visa, so you're technically allowed to work part-time. So you can actually make some dough that way. When you're working though, you're living on a Japanese salary, and that comes with a lot of limitations. There's a pretty low salary ceiling, and there's a progressive tax when you live in this country. That said, the cost of living is so much cheaper than if you're living in a Western country. The rent is so much cheaper. The food is affordable. The healthcare is wildly affordable. Let me tell you, it's very affordable. You can live a comfortable life in Japan on a Japanese salary, and then you can enjoy some of the more luxurious parts of the country. But the hardest part is thinking long term. When you're getting paid a salary in Japanese yen from a Japanese company, you're paying into the pension system that they have here. You can only get the rewards of that if you're a Japanese citizen when you retire. You can receive a lump sum payment when you leave Japan, but that money could have been used for investment elsewhere instead of being paid into for your entire life. Studying is financially harder when you're here because you're giving up income, but it offers more freedom and flexibility to explore opportunities. Working provides stability and comfort, but it limits free time and long-term opportunities for growth. If you want deeper cultural experiences without sacrificing future earning potential, studying definitely is the best way to go. If you value stability in a daily life integration into Japan, working will definitely be worth it. Language ability. Your required level of Japanese ability is definitely going to be higher when you're working in Japan. When you're studying in Japan, you're probably studying the language for the first time you're here. It's your first exposure to the culture. You're trying to get along with daily life, make friends, go out to eat, go to the mall, go to the grocery store, get those daily interactions down, and that's why you're here studying. So the conversations that you're going to get when you're here are very normal daily life, casual conversations for survival. That said, the stakes are pretty low. You don't need business level Japanese to go get a couple drinks. You don't need to know the formalities of keigo and sonkeigo when you're not going to be performing those with your level of Japanese. When you're working in Japan, it's a different story. You're going to need a lot of proficiency, working level proficiency. You're gonna need at least JLPT N2 and preferably N1 to really be business level proficient and to stay here long term. If you're going to really stay here for the rest of your life, you should try to be as near native as possible. It's this language barrier that really puts foreigners in a pigeonhole. Most of the careers that foreigners get here, they're going to be English teaching, recruiting, or software engineering. And all three of those careers don't require a lot of Japanese proficiency. You can do those jobs without actually speaking the language. So your correlation to job opportunity is directly related to your Japanese proficiency. Studying in Japan is definitely the best way to improve your Japanese, but you actually do have to study. Like, you're not just here in the country learning on a daily level. Those things do matter and they are important and they do help you increase your proficiency, but you do have to study it. You have to study the kanji, the grammar, the vocab. You have to, those things actually do take time, dedicated studying too. Okay, it's not just all osmosis. You actually do have to put in some effort to study. And when you're working in Japan, you can be caught in a double bind. Your Japanese isn't good enough to get another job, so you need to practice your Japanese, but your job isn't allowing you to actually practice those skills because it's non-essential to the role. You actually might be speaking a different language during your job. If you're early in your Japanese language studies, definitely coming here to study at a university or a language school is the best way to go, because you need dedicated time to study the language, especially at the basic level. And going and studying at a school will give you that time and opportunity to do so. If you're advanced in your language studies, working here can be a way to solidify what you know about the language and help you become more fluent. But if you're kind of too early in your language learning, here can actually be a trap, because you're not going to find a career that's going to help you grow into a Japanese proficient speaker. For a lot of people, the first way to get into Japan is to teach English. And in my next video, I'm talking about what teaching English in Japan can actually teach you about identity, communication, about showing up in a different culture. If you're thinking about working here, this one's going to matter. Thank you so much. Have a good night. Bye.